What is a Moto 2 bike? Keep watching to find out more. The Moto 2 class is meant to be a feeder to MotoGP. So with this in mind, the Moto 2 bikes themselves are very similar to the MotoGP bikes and give an ideal breeding ground for talent to move on up. The engines in Moto 2 at the moment are all supplied by Triumph, so it's a standardised engine. It's a 765cc engine which is derived from the road engine that's in the Street Triple 765. And they all make around 140 horsepower, and Triumph are responsible for supplying them to the teams, rebuilding them when the engine's done all the mileage it needs to do. And the riders each have 7 engines per season to use, and that is their engine allocation. In the same way that the 765cc engine is standard, this is the same with the electronics. You have to use the Magneti Marelli electronics that are supplied by Dorna. Again, this is completely standard ECU, standard loom, and this gives you adjustable fuel maps, ignition maps. It enables you to have launch control, so if you're not sure what launch control is, on the grid, if you hold the throttle wide open, it will hold the RPM at a certain level. I'll probably put in You'll also have engine brake control, which controls how the amount of engine braking that you get when you shut the throttle on corner entry. You do not get traction control on these at the moment. Dorna have said they might bring it in the future, but at the moment you just get fuel mapping, ignition mapping, engine brake, launch, and that's about your lot. The whole point of it is it's meant to allow the fastest riders to show their talent, or showcase their talents, and to show who would go best on a MotoGP bike. So moving on to the chassis. So by the chassis we mean the frame, the swing arm, etc. That is not standardised. You are allowed to have a free choice in terms of chassis, but the teams are all using one of 4 suppliers. Kalex is by far and away the most popular. There are a handful of NTSs out there, a handful of MV Augustas, and a handful of speed ups, or as they're now called for this year, they're called Bosco chassis. All the chassis are alloy, and there's a few carbon swing arms and stuff knocking about, but by and large they're all sort of alloy perimeter frame, so fairly similar in design. But Kalex is by far and away the most popular, which in turn means Kalex get the most data back from each rider, which in turn means that Kalex has the largest resource pools to develop from, so it kind of almost gives them an advantage to continue to develop the chassis going forward. But with that said, it is a free choice of chassis, so the teams are free to go to whoever they want to. But if you're a team, you're going to go with the chassis which you think gives you the best chance of winning, which is a Kalex, so it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So now we know that the engine is a 765 standardised unit, same with electronics, that's standardised, free choice of chassis, and when you choose your chassis, you also choose the bodywork from the chassis manufacturer. So you'll notice that all the Kalexes all have the same bodywork, same with the Bosco Scuros, same with the NTS, and so on and so on. It's all the same. Brakes, again, are pretty much, everyone's going to be running Brembo brakes pretty much. They have to be steel discs. You can't use carbon fibre discs like you can in MotoGP, so got to be steel discs. The wheels have got to be alloy as well. The fuel limit on the Moto 2 bikes, they can carry a maximum of 22 litres of fuel, and the bike and rider have a combined weight limit. So in a lot of classes it's just a bike limit. In Moto 2, the bike and rider are weighed together to give a combined limit, again to keep the racing close and make it nice and consistent, to allow the rider to make the difference. So they work out who the best rider is, so that rider in turn can go on to MotoGP. Again, any questions, anything I've missed, put it in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer it.